Hey guys, it's Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I'm in Cairo, Egypt, and wanted to talk a little bit about second passports and specifically what you can expect, how long you can expect to wait if you choose to get a second passport through naturalization. Now, I recently did a video called 4 Ways to Get a Second Passport, and you can find it here on YouTube. We've had a number of people asking questions about it. A lot of them because they've looked at other YouTube videos, some of which have actually copied our website word for word, which is flattering. Um, and they've seen specific recommendations on specific countries and how long it takes in those countries. And some of that information is inaccurate. Some of it is simply, while technically accurate, not realistic in terms of how it works. So I want to explain this. I did another video a while back on why you should avoid the quote-unquote easy programs for getting a second passport. And what I said was, just because a country claims to be the fastest, don't necessarily go for that just because on paper it's the fastest. The reason being that some of the countries that claim to be the fastest, i.e. Dominican Republic, 2 years, Paraguay, 3 years, have quite a lag in actually processing applications once that time comes. So, as an example, I knew 2 different people who were from Latin America and, as such, qualified to get a Spanish passport by living in Spain for 2 years. In each case, it took them a total of about 6 years. One of them actually got it in 6 years. One of them I met, they were 5.5 years in, I think, and they still hadn't gotten it. And that 2 year timeline was just blown out of the water due to endless bureaucracy. Everything took so long. So 2 years didn't mean 2 years. 2 years simply meant they can wait 2 years and apply. Now, if you go to a country that's much less bureaucratic, 2 years might be 2 years plus 3 months rather than 2 years plus 4 years. So that's where the actual naturalization timeline comes into play. How long are you actually going to wait versus how long does some law that they may or may not follow wait? And so this is why choosing the right country, if you're going to go to the naturalization route, again, this is 1 of 4 ways to get a passport, but if you want to go the naturalization route, which basically means getting a residence in a country, parking yourself there part or full time, and simply letting the clock tick by until the appropriate number of years have gone by in which you can apply for citizenship, then you need to know that the country is actually going to honor your request. And so I talk a lot about how really the only way to guarantee yourself a second passport is to pay for one, economic citizenship, where you make a donation or invest and they give you a passport right away. Because any country can change their naturalization laws. Trump is now going to be in power in the United States. He can say, hey, it's no longer 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. I was born a U.S. citizen, so I don't particularly know that one. But Trump could say now it's 10 years or 20 years. He could say we're going to copy Switzerland or Andorra and make it 20 or 30 years. And hey, if you've been there 3.5 years, doesn't matter that it was 4 before, the law changed. And so obviously any country can change the rules on you. But more often what we see when it comes to second passports, especially in Latin America where it's more bureaucratic, is A, they just delay the process. So in Panama right now, a lot of people have been waiting many years beyond the 5 years that they claim you can get a passport. The documents are sitting on the president's desk. He's too busy to sign them, and so de facto you don't get your passport. The 5 years that everyone in the blogosphere claims is the time to get a Panama passport is essentially murky. Nobody knows anymore. And that's been a development in the last year or so. In Paraguay, same kind of thing, not quite as much. I have actually seen some folks get their Paraguay passports, but it's become much sketchier. Dominican Republic had a couple people who took 8 or 9 years to get that passport. Know one guy who got it faster. So that's the challenge with naturalization. A, they can change the laws at any time. They can also change the policies at any time. They can simply say, yeah, we're just going to sit on these applications. We're not going to do anything with them. So when it comes to getting residency in a country that you want to work towards naturalization, my suggestion is to go to a country that actually values people, preferably one that's not so much on the radar, which is why I've started to really speak out against Panama as of late, because so many people are going there. Every guy with a blog is recommending it. It's easy and it's simple, that I think you're going to have a backlog, and I think that they're going to start to shut that program down. Another example is Uruguay. This isn't so much talked about in the blogosphere anymore, but Uruguay was mentioned in one of the YouTube videos on how to get a passport and how it's 3 years. Well, Uruguay passport was never 3 years if you were a single person. It was 5 years if you were single, 3 years if you went with your family. And that's another program where a judge had to approve your citizenship, and basically now the judges simply aren't approving it. They're simply saying, we don't think you're Uruguayan enough. So even though it still is 3 years and 5 years, they're effectively just voiding that through the judiciary or through bureaucracy. So pro-investor countries, countries where you can go and make an investment, get residency, work towards citizenship, I think are the way to go these days. Largely moving out of Latin America, especially the widely spoken of Latin American programs. If you want to go to Ecuador, perhaps that's an option, or Peru, but those actually require you to live there. So the ones that are all over the internet, I'm tending to avoid these days precisely because you're going to have too many people and you're going to see problems like this. And also, those countries never had reputation for lacking in bureaucracy. So that's a problem. So, people are always looking for what's the fastest way to get a citizenship. I'm all for that. I understand that you want to get a passport quickly, but it's important to note that the ways that you think are the fastest may not be the fastest. And so you got to clear out the countries with lots of bureaucracy, and you have to replace it either with Western European countries where they follow the letter of the law every time. Generally hard to do that without paying tax, except for one or two instances. Or if you don't want to get into a tax trap somewhere else, and you don't want to pay taxes in some other country to get a passport, then you have to go to countries that are a bit more friendly, a bit more unpublicized. So do understand naturalization timelines. The rules can change at any time, which is why you want to go to a country that's reliable. You want to go to a country that isn't mired in bureaucracy, and you probably want to go to a place that isn't all over the internet and being hawked as a cure-all for everyone out there.